From 1.8 version onwards, happily we can declare concrete methods also inside interface, right? Sir, how I can declare concrete method inside interface? What is the need of this new concept? That part I will discuss. Sir, the concrete methods which we can allow to declare inside interface, these methods are by default considered as what? Default methods. Are you getting that? Which methods, right? Default methods, right? First, let me explain how to declare default method, how to use a default method. At last I will explain what is the internal reason why this concept came in the picture, how our life will be simplified because of this default methods. I will explain. Just have a look once, sir. Now, sir, from 1.8 version onwards, is it possible to take concrete method inside interface or not? Yes. But until 1.7 version, we can't take. Every method is always abstract only. But this rule is applicable until 1.7 version. But from 1.8 version onwards, okay, happily we can take concrete methods also in the form of default methods, right? Sir, how I can declare default method? Very simple. Sir, here interface, interrupt is there, sir. Interrupt is there. Now, here just observe, I have default void m1. I have default void m1. Inside, just I am taking system.out.println default method. Okay, just I am taking default method like this. Interface interrupt, default void m1, SOP upon default method like this I am taking, sir. So, this is nothing but default method, right? Okay. How we can declare default method? Just with the default keyword. Remember this one, sir. So, if I declare as the default, we can access this one within the current package. Don't use such type of rules. Here, default method with the keyword, it's a keyword, it's not modifier, sir. Just we can declare default method, yeah, default method with the default keyword inside interface. Clear for all of you, right? Next, sir, this default method by default available to the implementation class. If the implementation class wants to use, happily it can use. If the implementation class wants to override, it can override, no problem at all. Both options are there. Just have a look once, sir. Class test implements, class test implements interrupt. Class test implement interrupt. Now, public static void main method string array args. Are you getting? Public static void main string array args. So, here let me take test t is equal to new test. Test t is equal to new test t dot m1. Test t is equal to new test t dot m1. Happily, do you know this m1 method by default is going to get the chance, it will be executed. Sir, interface default methods by default available to the implementation class or not? Yes. If you want, you can call that default method directly. Suppose if you are not feeling comfortable with that default implementation, sir, I don't want that default implementation, happily we can override based on your requirement. In the implementation class, can I override default method or not? Yes, why not? Here I am taking class test implements interrupt, class test implements interrupt. Okay. Now, public void m1. Have you observed, right? I am trying to override, right? System.out.println my own implementation. I'm taking this one. Okay, I'm trying to override interface default method in the implementation class. Now, public static void main method string array args. Public static void main string array args. Sir, if you want to call this, what is the possibility? Very simple. Test t is equal to new test. Okay, t dot m1. Are you getting? Sir, in the first scenario, which method will come? Directly this one is going to come, because in the implementation class you didn't override default method. But in the second scenario, which method is going to be executed? Overriding method by default is going to be executed, right? Are you in a position to understand, right? So very simple. From 1.8 version onwards, we can declare concrete methods in interface in the form of what? Default methods, right? Sir, how to declare default method? This is the way to declare default method. Next, with the default keyword. Next, interface default methods by default available to the implementation class. Implementation class directly can use these default methods. If the implementation class not satisfied with the default implementation, then happily it is allowed to override based on its requirement. Is it clear for all of you? This is nothing but default methods. Then immediately you may have a big doubt, sir. Sir, if we are allowed to add concrete methods inside interface, then what is the difference between abstract class and this interface, right? Yes, still even you are adding concrete methods inside interface in the form of default method, but this interface never equal to abstract class. Yes, still there are several differences are there. That part we will discuss in detail. So first try to get how to declare default method, how to use a default method in the implementation class. Is it clear for all of you, right? Okay, that's all. Just let me go for a small example. Let me execute the same example, right? So just observe that the same method, the same example, whatever I explained on the board, just observe this one. Sir, interface interrupt default void m1. Regarding just I declared a default method, sir. Sir, what is this method? This one itself is nothing but what? Default method. Even we can write concrete methods inside interface from which version onwards, sir? 1.8 version onwards. Are you getting right? Sir, with which keyword we require to declare, sir? With what keyword we require to declare? Can you spell out? With the default keyword. Make sure, sir, this is the default method. Next, default methods by default available to the implementation class. That's why class test implements interrupt. In the just I'm creating test at t is equal to new test at t dot m1. Are you getting? Sir, in the implementation class, if you want, you can use that default method, no problem at all. Just have a look once. Java C test.java. Happily the code compiles fine. Java test. If I can take, yes, parent class or parent interface default method got executed, right? Everyone can able to understand, right, sir? How to declare default method, how you can call that default method in the implementation class. Okay, sir, now I didn't satisfy with this default method implementation. I want to override in the implementation class based on our requirement. How we can do that, sir? Public, okay, public void m1 method. Here I am taking system.out.println, okay, my own implementation. Are you getting? My own implementation like this I am taking, sir. My own implementation like this. Sir, have you observed? This is default method, whatever we covered, sir. Have you observed? This is the default method. This default method I am trying to override based on our requirements, sir. This process is nothing but what? Overriding, sir. Both parent and child class methods having the same prototype. Have you observed? Same signature. Like this is nothing but what? Overriding. If you are not satisfied with the parent, I mean interface default method implementation, happily we can override. Sir, in this case, which method will get the chance? Obviously, overriding method is going to get in the chance, right? Okay. Now, here have a look once. What is the output? By default we are going to get my own implementation instead of interface default method, right? That's all. I hope you people can able to understand clearly what is default method, how to override. Like, sir, are you in a position to understand, right? So what is a default method? How to declare default method? Next, how you can call this default method in the implementation class? If you are not satisfied with parent interface default, I mean interface default implementation, how you can override? Clear for all of you, right? So now up to this we covered. What is default method? Next, how to write default method? Next, in the implementation class, how you can access? If you want, how you can override default method. Up to that clear. Next, we can't override object class method as a default method, right? Clear. Now, there is one small problem will be there in the case of default methods with respect to multiple inheritance, because a class can implement any number of interfaces. From multiple interfaces to that class, the same default method came. Maybe a chance of ambiguity problem. Just what is the meaning? Let me explain with a small example. You can able to understand, right? Here just observe default methods with respect to multiple inheritance. Are you getting? With respect to multiple inheritance, there is some problem is there. How you can solve that problem? I will explain. Don't worry about that. Here I have interface left is there. I have an interface left and right. My favorite interface is right. Interface left. Now, sir, I am taking default void m1. Default void m1. System.out.println. Okay. Left default method. What is this one, sir? Left default method. Similarly, I am taking interface right. Yes, I am taking interface right. Next, default, okay, default void m1 method. Have you observed right interface also contain same signatures are default void m1. System.out.println right default method. Are you getting? Right default method. So, how many interfaces I am taking? Two interfaces. The first one left, which contain, sir, void m1. Of course, default void m1. Even right interface also contain same default void m1. Two interfaces contain a default method with the same signature. Take special care, sir. Now I am writing class test implements left comma right. Class test implements left comma right. Whenever I am implementing left and right, immediately compiler will give left and right, because the reason for that is, this m1 is coming from the left, this m1 is coming from the right. Sir, within this class, if I use m1, which m1 has to execute? Is it ambiguity problem or not? So that's why immediately compiler is going to tell unrelated. Two default methods came from the parent interfaces. First, resolve this problem, like maybe a chance of ambiguity problem is going to come. First, observe the problem. How you can solve this problem? That part I will take care. Are you getting? So, in the multiple inheritance, if a class implements multiple interfaces, okay, if two interfaces contain a default method with the same signature, then there may be a chance of ambiguity problem. Suppose by mistake here somewhere, if I call m1, which m1 method has to come? Sir, one m1 is coming from the left, another m1 is coming from right. Which m1 method I require to execute? Is it a problem or not? Yes, that's why. Sir, how you can solve this problem? First, let me execute and let me show the problem, right? First, have a look once. Here I am taking interface left. Sir, default void m1. System.out.println left default method. Similarly, interface right, default void m1, right default method right. Have you observed both interfaces having, same signatures are? Sir, this one and this one, if you observe, same signatures are available. Both contain same signatures, right? Okay. Here make sure, same like. Now, if I implement class test implements left and right, immediately compiler will give left and right. Have a look once on Java C test.java. Can you please read the compile error? Class test inherits unrelated defaults for m1 from types left and right. Can you please observe once again? class test inherits unrelated defaults for m1 from types left and right. This is the problem, correct or not? So in the case of default methods, there may be a chance of ambiguity problems, sir. If two interfaces contain the same default method, sir, then in the implementation class there may be a chance of ambiguity problem. How we can solve this problem? Very simple, sir. In the child class, in the implementation class, override this method based on your requirement. Yes, boss, I want to override, okay, public void m1 method. I'm overriding public void m1 method. Sir, here system.out.println my own implementation, like this I'm taking. Are you getting right? Sir, public void m1 my own implementation, like I'm taking. Sir, now complete different new implementation I'm taking, sir. This is one way, or otherwise there is another possibility is there, sir. Sir, for the test class, I don't want to provide new implementation. Sir, for this test, left implementation is required or right implementation is required. Whatever implementation you can require, you are allowed to specify, no problem at all. What is that possibility, right? Here, just which interface method you want. I want left interface method. Left dot super dot m1. Are you getting? Left dot super dot m1, like this. So instead of providing new implementation, sir, I want in the left interface default method for the test class. How we can able to take is interface name dot super dot m1, then the problem by default will be solved, sir. Is it clear for all of you, right? Sir, how we can declare, okay, how you can override, yes, default method in the implementation class, just like normal. Sir, I want a particular interface method, then how you can do the left dot super dot m1. Clear for all of you, right? Sir, let me execute this code, sir. Here, have a look once. Sir, I'm taking just class test, that's all. I didn't override, then automatically, do you know, the problem is going to come, sir. Class test inherit and so on, compare method we are getting. How I can solve this problem, sir? Better to take public void m1 method. Same prototype, sir. Public void m1. Here I'm taking system.out.println. System.out.println. Sir, my own implementation, right? Okay, just I'm taking my own implementation like this. Can you please observe now the compile method will be solved or not? Have a look once. Happily the code is going to compile. Now if I want to write here, let me implement public static void main. Just I'm taking string array args. Public static void main string array args. Here my requirement is test t is equal to new test next t dot m1 method. Can you spell out which method will come, sir? Already override, right? Overriding version by default is going to come. Okay, the code compiles fine. Java test, if you observe, my own implementation is coming. Suppose assume that I don't want to provide new implementation, sir. I don't want to provide new implementation. I want left interface method. I want left interface method, right? How you can specify, how you can call, sir? Left dot super dot m1. Are you getting that? Left dot super dot m1. So for the test, m1 means which interface method, sir? Left interface method. Have a look once. The code compiles fine. Now left default method is coming. Sir, I don't want left, I want right. Then automatically just instead of this left, if you want right, then you can take here, just observe right dot super dot m1 method. Now onwards, which one acts as m1 for this test class is right interface method, right? Have you observed, right? Right default method is going to come. So I hope it's very clear for you people, right? Okay, make sure it's very clear for you people, right? What is if default methods may be a chance of ambiguity problem in the case of multiple inheritance. How you can solve this problem? Just simply override that method in the implementation class based on your requirement. While overriding, if you want, you can provide complete new implementation, or you can call parent interface methods only. If you want to call parent interface method, then how you can call interface name dot super dot method name we have to use. Clear for all of it? So this is a small twist is there in the case of default methods whenever multiple inheritance is there, sir. Clear for all of it? That's all. Sir, I hope you people can aware. Sir, what is the default method of you can declare, what is the purpose, all those things I covered, right? Sir, most of the people are having the big doubt in their mind. If you add concrete methods to the interface, then what is the difference between abstract class and interface, right? Because from 1.8 version onwards, we can add concrete methods inside interface in the form of what? Default methods. Correct, right? Okay. Sir, if I add concrete methods to the interface, then where is the difference between interface and abstract class? Both will become equal, right? Like some people may have the doubt. No, sir. You know, default method concept present inside interface just to save implementation classes. It is not to provide meaningful, useful implementation, right? Sir, it's a dummy implementation. Implementation class, if you want you can use, otherwise you can ignore. If you want you can override, no problem at all. Just for that purpose only, this default method concept came, not to provide meaningful implementation, sir. Make sure. Sir, even you are adding concrete methods in the form of default methods to the interface, it never equal to abstract class. There are still lot of differences are there, sir. Sir, best example, inside interface, every variable is always what? Public static final. You can't declare instance variable inside interface. But inside abstract class, can I declare instance variable or not? Yes, which is required for the child class. Next, inside interface, even you are adding default method, is it possible to declare constructor? No, but abstract class can contain constructor, sir. Are you getting? Next, interface never talks about state of object, but abstract class can talk about state of object. Inside interface, you can declare instance block, you can declare static block, but inside abstract class, happily I can declare static block and instance block, sir. Next, interface which contain single abstract method. Of course, a number of default methods you can take. It can refer lambda expression, but abstract class never can't refer lambda expression, right? Are you able to understand? There are n number of differences are there between interface with the default methods and abstract classes. Sir, here don't compare, both are equal, no chance at all. Just let me summarize all these differences in the tabular form so that you people can able to get very easily. Have a look one, sir. Sir, differences between interface with the default methods and abstract classes. Okay, the first column I am taking interface with the default method, second column abstract class, right? Sir, very simple first point observe. Inside interface, every variable is always public static final. Have you remember? Every variable present inside interface is always what? Public static final, whether we are declaring or not declaring, right? Sir, we can't declare instance variables. Are you getting? It's not possible to declare instance variables, right? But inside abstract class, we can declare instance variables which are required to the child class. Remember, happily we can declare instance variable by default available to every child class. Possibility is there. Interface never talks about state of object. Have you remember? Because it always talks about static variables only. It never talks about state of object because it doesn't contain any instance variable, right? But abstract class can talk about state of object. Yes, abstract class sometimes can talk about state of object. Yes, sir, because it can contain instance variables, right? Next, inside interface, we can't declare constructor. Can I declare constructor inside interface? No. By mistake, if you are trying to declare comparative method, you are going to get, because constructor purpose is to perform initialization for instance variable. But inside interface, no chance of instance variable. How you can declare constructor? What is the need of constructor for the interface? But inside abstract class, instance variables possibility is there or not? Yes. If instance variable is there, then compulsory we require to perform initialization. For that, constructor concept applicable for the abstract class, right? Is it clear for all of it? Next, sir, inside interface we can't declare instance and static blocks. Sir, make sure I can't declare instance and static blocks, right? But inside abstract class we can declare instance and static blocks. No problem at all. I can declare instance and static blocks. Are you able to understand, right? Next, functional interface with the default method can refer lambda expression. An interface certain point it can refer lambda expression, right? But abstract class can't refer lambda expressions, right? Clear for all of it? Next, inside interface we can't override object class methods. Have you remembered, right? Sir, in the interface, if I can take object class method as the default method, immediately comparative method we are going to get, sir. We can't override object class methods inside interface as the default method. But in the abstract class, any method of the object class happily we can override. Hash code method you can override, equals method you can override, toString method we can override, no problem at all, sir. Object class methods we can override inside abstract class. Have you observed? Inside abstract class we can override object class methods. That's why make sure, sir, interface with the default methods and abstract class never be equal. Still there are n number of differences are there. That's why can I conclude like this? Here interface with the default methods. Interface with the default methods, okay, not equal to abstract classes. Not equal to abstract classes. Make sure, sir. Sometimes interface person may ask, if you can add concrete method not to the interface, then what is the difference between interface and abstract class? Sir, still n number of differences are there. These differences you can highlight in the interview room, sir. Are you in a position to understand, right? That's all, sir. These are various important loopholes about default method. Sir, what is default method? How to declare default method? Next, how I can use a default method in the implementation class? Next, is it possible to override default method inside interface or not? Object class default method inside interface or not possible? What is the reason for that? Next, if two interfaces contain default method with the same signature, in the implementation class there may be a chance of ambiguity problem. How you can solve this ambiguity problem? By overriding that method in the implementation class. How to override? That part we explain with example. Next, what is the difference between interface with the default methods and the abstract class? Okay, clear for all of you, right? That's all. This is the story about default methods. Sir, now up to this, just we completed what is lambda expression, what is the functional interface. Next, what is about default methods inside interface. Sir, next enhancement. Do you know from 1.8 version onwards, we can declare static methods also inside interface, right? Okay, happily we can declare static method inside interface. What is the need or what is the how you can access these things? Let me explain, sir. So do you know static method nowhere related to object, interface also nowhere related to object. Then, sir, what is the need of defining static method inside class? If you want, happily you can define static method inside interface. Sir, what is the purpose? That part I will discuss. Suppose assume I have one interface, interf is there. Within that I am taking public static, void m1, public static void m1 system.out.println. Okay, sir, interface static method, like this I'm taking, sir. Interface static method, like this I'm taking. So from 1.8 version onwards, just to define general utility methods, are you getting? For any class, sir, these are just generally required utility methods, nowhere related to object state. Such a type of general utility methods happily you can declare inside interface in the form of static methods, no problem at all. Sir, these methods are utility methods. Any person can call these methods just by using interface name. Remember this, sir, these are not meant for only implementation class. Any person, whether that class is the implementation class or not implemented class, don't worry, any person happily can call this method just by using interface name. Clear for all of you, right? Sir, point number 1, from 1.8 version onwards, inside interface we can declare static methods, no problem at all. What is the purpose of declaring static methods inside interface? Just to define general utility methods. For that purpose we can go for just to define utility methods. For that purpose we can go for, okay, interface, of course, static methods, right? Next, there is one small twist is there. What is that twist is? Take very special care about this one. Sir, I am taking here, observe carefully, sir. I am taking implementation class. Class test implements interrupt, class test implements interrupt. Okay, sir, now public static void main method string array args, public static void main string array args. Now what I want to do, let me create tester t is equal to new tester. Test is equal to new test. Just I am creating an object for the implementation class. By using this object reference, I am calling m1 method. Okay, this is the first phase, sir. By using this object reference, I am calling, sir, interface static method, right? First phase. Anyway, it is the static method. By using class name also you can call. Parent class static method by default available to the child class or not? Or by default available to the implementation class or not? Yes. That's why I am calling test.m1 method. This is the second possibility, right? Sir, it is the static method of interface. By using interface name also I can call m1 method. Just take very special care. Sir, in how many ways I am calling interface static method? By using implemented class object, or by using implemented class name, or by using interface name. But here the twist is, if I am taking like this, compiler will give left and right. Remember this one, because the reason for that is interface static method by default not available to the implementation class. Remember this one. So we can't call by using interface object reference, or by using implementation class object reference or implementation class name. If I am trying to take like this, immediately compatible we are going to get, sir, interface static methods always you can call by using interface name only. Whether this person is the implementation class or non-implementation class, compulsory, if you want to call interface method, interface static method, compulsory we should use what? Interface name only. But you are not allowed to use implementation class name or implementation object reference and so on. Everyone can able to understand? This is the small twist, sir. So inside interface from 1.8 version onwards we can take static methods. Clear? Next, what is the main purpose of static methods inside interface? To define general utility methods which are required for multiple people. Next, interface static method by default not available to the implementation class. That's why in the implementation class you can't call static method directly, or by using implementation object reference, or by using implementation class name. anywhere. If you want to call interface static method, only one way, by using interface name only we are allowed to call. By mistake, if you are trying to call in any other way, comparative method we will get. Are you able to understand, right? Sir, that's all. Sir, inside interface, just I am declaring one static method, sir. Sir, what is this method? Static method, just I am declaring inside interface, right? Now, in the implementation class, how I can call this a static method? That's about my job. Here, just observe what I am trying to take here is, just I am calling M1 method directly. Is it possible or not? Because just now I told, sir, interface static method by default not available to the implementation class. We are not allowed to call directly. Have you observed? If I am taking Java C test.java, immediately comparative method we are getting, sir, I am unable to find the symbol M1 inside the test class. Okay, so directly you can't call. First approach won't work. Now I am taking test T is equal to new test. I am creating implementation class object T.M1. T.M1 I am trying to call by using implementation class object reference. Have a look once. Have you observed that? Same problem is going to come at a T.M1. Okay, it is also won't work, sir. Okay, next I am taking tester.M1 because it is the static method, right? That's why directly by using class name I am trying to call, sir. If I am trying to call by using class name, have you observed? Same problem by default is going to come test.m1. Then it is also won't work. Then only one way. What is the interface name? interaf.m1. If I can take interaf.m1, have you observed? The code compiles fine. Java test. If I consider happily interface static method, by default is going to get the chance. Are you getting that? So interface static methods, if you want to call, compulsory we should use interface name only. There is no other way to access interface static methods, right? Okay, that's all. This is what you people should be aware about interface static methods. Sir, what is the purpose of, so from 1.8 version onwards, inside interface I can declare static method. The main purpose of interface static methods is to provide to define general utility methods. Next, sir, this interface static method by default not available to the implementation class. Sir, how you can call? Any person can call interface static method by using interface name only. Clear for all of you, right? That's all. Sir, just now I explained what is static method. I mean, how we can declare static methods inside interface. Next, what is the purpose of those static methods? In the implementation class or in general class, how you can call. Up to this is the clear, right? Now, interface static methods with respect to overriding. I want to talk about interface static methods with respect to overriding, right? Point number 1. Interface static methods by default available to the implementation class or not available. Are you getting? If the interface static methods by default not available to the implementation class, parent class methods by default not available to the child class, where is the question of overriding? That's why overriding concept not applicable for interface static methods. Okay, if you want, you can define exactly same method in the child class, no problem at all. It is valid but not overriding. Remember this one. So interface static method by default not available to the implementation class. That's why overriding concept not applicable for static methods. Is it clear for all of you? Okay, not applicable for interface static method. If you want exactly same static method in the implementation class, you can define. It is valid but not overriding. Clear? Just a small example. Observe that I am taking interface interaf. Sir, this interface contain a static method. Are you getting? It's a contain a static. Now in the implementation class, I am defining the same static method. Can you please tell, is it valid or not? Valid but not overriding. Remember this one. Similarly, here observe both are static, sir. Now let me go for second example. Interface interaf Sir, it is the interface static method, of course static. But in the implementation class, I am overriding as non-static. Are you getting? I am implementing in the implementation class, I am trying to define the method as non-static. But in the normal Java classes, if the parent class method is the static, child class method is non-static, then immediately compare method we are going to get, because we can't override a static method as non-static method. Have you remembered? But in this scenario, we never going to get any comparative error because it is not overriding concept. Sir, this is the M1 method of test class, this is the M1 method of interrupt, right? Okay, it's valid but not overriding. Just observe third scenario, right? Sir, parent class method, static method, right? Sir, under public anyway, right? In the child implementation class, I am declaring the same with the private modifier. If it is the normal Java classes, parent class and child class, while overriding, we can't reduce scope of access modifier. Parent class method is the public, but child class method is the private. Immediately comparative method we are going to get, sir. But in this case, it is valid because it is not overriding concept. It is the method of implementation class. It is the method of interrupt, right? So it's a very clear indication. Parent class static, interface static methods not available to the implementation class. That's why overriding such type of concept is not applicable for interface static method. Based on our requirement, we can declare exactly same static method in the implementation class, no problem at all. Clear for all of it? Okay, that's all. So now observe, from 1.8 version onwards, I can declare static methods inside interface. If you are allowed to declare static methods inside interface, why can't you declare main method? If you can declare main method inside interface, why don't you run interface directly from the command prompt? So make sure this type of facility not available until 1.7 version onwards. Sir, I can't declare main method, I can't run interface directly from the command prompt. Have you remembered? But in the 1.8 version onwards, we can declare main method inside interface. If you want, you can run interface directly from the command prompt, sir. Just have a look once. Just this is my interface interrupt. I declare interface interrupt. Just in the, just I'm taking main method. Have you observed public static void main? SOP of interface main method, right? Sir, just I saved this one interrupt.java. Let me compile. Java C interrupt.java, Java interrupt, happily it is going to compile and run, sir. So from 1.8 version onward, we can run interface directly from the command prompt, because inside interface we can declare static methods including main method also. Just have a look once, sir. Here the same example I want to run. Here just observe interface interrupt, public static void main, okay, system.out.println interface main method, like this I'm taking, sir. Just I saved this code as interrupt.java. Let me compile. Java C interrupt.java. Compile or not? Yes, Java interrupt. Can you please spell out what is the output by default we are going to get, sir? Interface main method. Is it clear for all of it? Okay, that's all, sir. This is the story about static method present inside interface. Is it clear for all of it? So we can use, we can declare static methods inside interface. We can declare default methods inside interface. These facilities came from 1.8 version. What is the need of default method? How to declare? How you can use? What is the need of static method? How you can declare? How you can use? Clear for all of it? Okay, that's all.